This is the next topic, measure of dispersion. This is the next chapter, chapter number 4, last chapter for mid-exam. In this chapter, we'll discuss the measure of dispersion. Now, till now, we started from chapter number 1, that was about data. We checked that what sort of data we have in statistics. Then, after collecting data, the second thing we discussed was that how we can just present the data in such a form which is understandable. So that was presentation of data. The third chapter we discussed in detail, that was about measure of central tendency, where you can find different techniques that comes in analysis. That's how you can find the measure of central tendency, means the value which represent the center of the data set. So we discuss arithmetic mean, geometric mean, harmonic mean, median, and mode. Now, after that, this is quite obvious. Like once you have these information, then the next important thing to check the measure of dispersion. Measure of dispersion is actually the to find the boundaries of your data set, that how spread over is your data set. So we are very much interested in that. So this measure of dispersion, let me define that this is the process in which we check the boundaries of the data set. So this is defined as the spreadness or the scatteredness of the data set. Data set can be measured with the help of measure of dispersion. In some books, they are also calling it measure of variation also, but measure of dispersion is the actual thing. So, like measure of central tendencies, we have 5 different measure of dispersion. In measure of dispersion, we have like the actual thing, which consider the scatteredness, and we also find the relative term, which is known as coefficient of that particular thing. So we have 5 different measure of dispersion. The first one is known as range. Similarly, so its relative term will be coefficient of range. The second one is known as interquartile range, or some people call it quartile deviation. Both are same thing. Okay, so this is not and, this is what we called or. So this is the absolute term, and the relative term for this quartile deviation is a coefficient of quartile deviation. So this one, we have 5 different measure of so dispersion: range, coefficient of range, interquartile range, or some people call it quartile deviation. Its relative term is coefficient of quartile deviation, mean deviation. This is something which is quite a big topic, so we will not discuss it, okay? But the last two are very important: variance and standard deviation, okay? So it has also, both have also a relative term which is known as coefficient of variation. Now, first we will discuss this range. Range means, we have already discussed that it is just the difference between the maximum and minimum value. So this is very simple. Of the whole measure dispersion, this is the simplest. It's just the difference between maximum and minimum value. Symbolically, we can write it L means largest and S means smallest. Where R stands for the range. This is simplest, but this is one of the drawback of range, that because see, we are just interested in the maximum and minimum value, we are ignoring every other observation. So therefore you can see that that this one is this range this is one of the drawback. That's the drawback of the range, that we are ignoring every other observation. Similarly, the range is calculated, so it's quite easy to calculate the coefficient of range, which is largest minus smallest divided by largest plus smallest. So that's what we call the coefficient of range. I'll find a question for both grouped and ungrouped data, and we'll solve that. Okay. Now, in range, this is the formula. Range is equal to largest minus smallest, where coefficient of range is largest minus smallest divided by largest plus smallest. Okay, so this is the actual formula. Now this is an example that this is an ungrouped data we have. For this ungrouped data, the question is that we have this data. We don't need to just arrange it. Just we have to find the minimum value. So the maximum value, largest value is 974, smallest value is 239. We are ignoring the rest of observation. What is the difference? That's the range. The coefficient of range is largest minus smallest plus divided by largest plus smallest. So this is how we can find easily the range and coefficient of range. Now for group data, it is very interesting. Now for group data, it is quite interesting that here we have the table, and this is a group data. So we will find there is nothing to do with the frequency. We'll just find the classes. What is the maximum frequency class? That is 44. This is the last class. The maximum value is 44 for the whole data set, and the minimum value is 30. So the largest value is 44, this one, and the smallest value is 30. So that's the range. The difference between these two is the range. Okay, so this is quite easy. Now see here, we are ignoring all our other observations. That's why it is considered a very weak measure of dispersion. That's all for the measure of dispersion.